was a lot different than it was when we were growing up, and it's changed tremendously. And so, if you do it structurally, and if you have a governor that says, "I'm going to help," and this is how I think we can do that. I-65 wasn't there before. Look at US 30. Look at all the businesses along US 30. Jim, you can probably remember when, if you went to I-65 and US 30, the east side over there was just cornfields. And
I mean, prior to the mall. I
right.
vaguely remember that. I mean, it seems like it's been there for so long. Hey, let's go to Joe from Highland on line 1. If you want to talk to Roy Dominguez, 219-845-1100. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good morning, people.
Good morning, Joe.
Mr. Delo made a comment the other day. He says, what's true about Governor Daniels' comments? Okay, and then you pick up Friday's paper, and, of course, Mayor Delo went on a rant against Governor Daniels' comments.
Mayor McDermott, you mean? Yeah.
McDermott, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's okay.
I don't get you too confused there, McDermott. And you pick up Friday's paper and you say indicted some police officers for gun sales. Then you see Philpott also included in this. And then on the bottom of the page was a West Side student, 17 slain near his home. And when Robert Kennedy came through this area, he called it many years ago, called it one of the most corrupt counties in the country there. And my comment is wondering, why should we sanitize all the news and say it's not happening in here, or should we take the approach, hey, we've got a problem here, let's take care of it. But I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Joe, I think you're absolutely correct on all of those. People who have committed wrong, the authorities will deal with that, and quite frankly, we would rather the opposite, that everybody look forward to doing their best in providing a positive government, an honest government, and government that serves the people. Obviously, people would say, well, you were sheriff during that time, and I knew these individuals, the officers, and when they were on duty, they did a good job. Am I saddened by and disappointed by what has gone on? Absolutely. But they'll have their lawyers and the federal government who has investigated it and has charged them, and I believe they're going to plead guilty here soon. And so Philpott will have his lawyer, and his lawyer will advocate his position and things of that nature. That's the way our system works, our criminal justice system works. And during the meantime, we're going to be here. People know that we need to make sure that we take care of the things that we need to ensure that we have a good economy, a good quality of life, our industry, that it remains viable, that if its infrastructures continue to improve. Jim, you were talking about South County. You can go to South County, and the improvements on the roads just didn't keep up with the pace of growth. And so you go to many of these roads, they're still 2-lane roads, and you got subdivisions all over the place, and people can't really get home in a decent time frame. And why would businesses invest in an area where the customers can't come to their business because the infrastructure didn't improve? So we got to look at all those things and keep on doing that.
Let's go to Bob on line 6. Hi, Bob. You're on with Roy.
Good morning. You've got me completely lost. On one hand, you talk about we got to have the trains going out to South County to spur growth. Then you talk about how it used to be cornfields and the growth has already happened. And now you talk about the growth being so great, we don't even have the roads to support what we've got, yet we should spend very limited resources on sending more trains out to an area that's already got too many people. I'm no lawyer. I'm not the smartest guy in the classroom, believe me, but either we've seen growth in the South County without a train. Why the hell would we spend money we don't have at probably $50 million a mile in track to send people out where they're already moving anyway?
All right, you know what? You get right to the crux of that situation, Bob. Hang up and listen. Roy, there's a lot of people that are against that, baby, and you know that.
Right. I think there's a lot of people who are in favor of it, but you can't prevent tomorrow. That's going to be here. And the fact that we have needs today doesn't mean that you don't prepare for tomorrow. You're doing both at the same time. When the South Shore came through Gary and it went through Chicago, I'm sure back then people didn't want it. When they built I-65, people didn't want it. When they made the different businesses on US 30, people didn't want it. That doesn't mean that we don't do, or we don't do what that we don't pay attention to progress, progress is going to happen, and we can still improve the infrastructure and still look to see how we do the extension. And so you can't close your eyes to tomorrow, and you got to work on both of them at the same time. And if the South Shore extension were to go to South County, it can still be done economically. It can still be built. It'll provide for jobs. It'll provide for new industry. It'll provide for new businesses. It'll provide for jobs. So when our children go to college, they can come back here and work here and raise their family and be able to do that. You know, Jim, we're both cognizant of the time that when we grew up, we came out of high school, we were able to get a job right away. Now we have our family members who come out of college and can't get a job. We need to make sure that we can do that.
219-845-1100. Let's go to Roy on line 3. Hi, Roy.
Hey, I just wanted to report an accident at Sheffield and 81st Avenue in Dyer there.
What is it?
I'm not sure. There was a bunch of cars turning around. You're not able to go north on Sheffield from to be 81st Avenue coming from Illinois. It was probably about 6 squad cars and I think 2 ambulances there.
Okay, so 81st and Sheffield. So are you talking not too far from the BP station there?
Right on the corner at the BP there.
All right, so that's the kind of the big corner in South Dyer, North St. John there. Also, the Scrambled Diner is right there, and there's a pizza place. And so you cannot come north. There's not a lot of other ways to come, so people coming that way, you better make your turn early. Either come up north through Illinois or keep going on all the way to 41. All right, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right.
There you go. So an accident in Dyer coming back this way. Let me stop with some traffic there also. SOBF, my friends, still stay off the Bishop Ford at this hour. Roy, I do want to follow up on one thing you said. You said that you referred to the officers that have been indicted and so forth. You said that they did a good job when they were on duty. They were competent officers then. We've read a lot about these indictments and how quickly it's gone, and they pled guilty and what they said they did and so forth. But we never really had any report that, what were they like as officers, but they were decent officers then.
They were good officers when they were on the job. I think the federal government has disclosed that they had a private business and that they did these things as part of their private life and their private businesses, and they used part of their authority and trust within the sheriff department funneled into their private entity, this gun business that they had, and so anytime that happens, we should all be saddened by that. And the government will deal with that, and they have the prosecutors, and they will have their lawyers and to defend them, and then they'll work out whatever agreement's already been worked out. And I understand that they're going to plead guilty to that, and so.
We're talking to Roy Dominguez. Now, Roy, you're practicing law now.
I am.
Back to doing that. I think
Right.
you were the sheriff for 8 years. And prior to that, you held a position in East Chicago, correct?
I was corporation counsel in East Chicago.
For how many years there?
I want to say about 5 years.
So for about 5 years. So, there's 13 years right there. So,
Yeah, right. I served as chairman of the Workers' Compensation Board under Governor Bai.
yes.
He used to be a deputy prosecutor under a fellow that we all remember, and a guy named Jack Crawford. I was a deputy prosecutor there and was in charge of the child support program for about 5 years, and so.
And who was the prosecutor before Jack Crawford?
Ray Safana.
Ray Safana.
A great man, just a wonderful guy, and I was fortunate to have the opportunity to know him.
And he wore the bow tie all the time,
The
right?
infamous bow tie.
Yeah,
Yes,
Ray
yes.
Safana. And before him, it was
Henry Kowalczyk.
Henry Kowalczyk. Yes. As a matter of fact, I had
Henry Hank is what they call
yes,
him.
I had I had something when I was like 23 years old. I needed a lawyer, and somebody gave me his name, and he was here in downtown Hammond. He was kind of aging by that time, but he had been the prosecutor for a while, and he was a
Yeah.
character.
He
As a matter of
was.
fact,
He
I remember
was.
going into his office, and I'm in a civil lawsuit with somebody over some money, and all he wanted to do was just talk about Lake County stories, and
He had
you're-
many to tell.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
I don't really
He's a
care
great
about
guy,
that stuff.
too.
Maybe
Yeah.
when I become the host on WJOB, I'll bank all those. But hey, let's just take a couple more phone
His
calls.
nephew works in the prosecutor's office.
Oh,
now.
he does.
David.
David Kowalczyk?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
219-845-1100. Let's go to line 3 with Mad Mac. Hi, Mac.
Hey, so we're checking. The sheriff you had on before, who's the sheriff now, he was running the sheriff's department, and then the guy you're interviewing right now, he was the one right before that, right?
Yeah, I think on the last
no gaps in there between these two guys, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, so now I'm just checking. These 3 officers who are selling all those weapons to criminals that are used to assassinate police officers. Between these 2 guys, neither of them are responsible for these 3 wonderful, outstanding, tremendous citizens who are alleged to have committed crimes, right?
Is there a question in there?
Is anybody responsible for these guys? They just were rogue guys on their own, and no one had a clue that they were using the Lake County letterhead, the Lake County internet system, down in the big brown building.
Okay, all right. You do have a question in there, and we'll get to that. Talking about responsibility for these 3, what he called rogue individuals. Roy, how do you answer that?
We do our best every day, and we hope that people also do their best every day. and you have about 450 employees at the Lake County Sheriff Department. And when we find out that they've done wrong, now there are many officers who have done wrong during my tenure and the previous sheriff, and who's now the sheriff now, John Bunsage. We brought charges against them and things of that nature. So when we do discover it, we do bring charges. And in this case, the federal government found out, I believe they said 2008, that an undercover agent had bought some weapons from these guys, and they started the investigation. It isn't a matter of responsibility. It's a matter that the system works. And that we continue to do that, continue to be vigilant, and continue to encourage people to do their very best.
219-845-1100. Hey, you're on the air with Roy. What's happening?
Yes, I got a question for the former sheriff. We're continuing to have experience with the jails in Lake County, and a lot of these problems have been carrying on for years, and I was wondering if there's anything that you could have done or better in your period of time to reduce the amount of, like the lawsuit that that county is experiencing, or the massive budget. It takes 80% of the Lake County budget and stuff.
Okay, hey.
Explain how you worked your way into that problem, or could there have been a better way to do things?
All right, thanks a lot, Roy.
Every day we work to try to improve the conditions at the jail. We had tax cuts. We had to reduce our budget by over $4 million because the county government just didn't have the money to do it. We reduced the jail inmate population. I think at one point it was almost 1,200 inmates on a daily basis. Then we reduced it down to about 725 inmates, and that reduced the cost a great deal. I think it requires the entire government to manage the jail in terms of providing services, making sure that the funding is available, the number of employees. There was a lot of issues involved in that, and we did the best we can every day. I know the amount of work that went into providing a safe and secure jail requires continued vigilance, and you take in terms of reducing the number of lawsuits. There have been reported that there were a number of MRSA cases that were at the Lake County Jail. Well, there was one. And what had happened is that when we found out, we quarantined the jail and the area, and nobody else was infected or got infected by the MRSA, which can be easily transmitted. And we did everything we could with the county board of health, the state board of health, and our officers, the correctional officers. They did a great job in that. Thereafter, we had about 15 lawsuits that people who said they were in the jail, they contracted MRSA. Well, in each one of those cases that is not reported, they were all either dismissed or they withdrew their lawsuit. the county taxpayer didn't pay not one. We didn't lose one of those lawsuits. People end up thinking, well, this is an opportunity for me to file a lawsuit and try to see what I can do against the county government. All of those MRSA cases, we won each and every one of those. And so it comes with, there's not much you can do. In our society, people can sue for whatever reason, and then you have to go out and defend it and present your case. And each one of those cases, we prevailed.
Roy Dominguez, former sheriff of Lake County. Now he's in private law practice with his nephew. How's that working with your nephew?
Oh, what a treat. He's such a great guy, and I feel fortunate to be at this stage in my life to work with my nephew. I mean, every day I go in, he makes me feel older. Seeing him there, I remember when he, was just born, and boy,
kind of a quiet guy, and doesn't demand the spotlight, and is very respected throughout the region. So it's got to be a treat to see someone come along like that. But
John, the neat thing about it is he'll say, "Uncle Roy, do it this way," or if it's a computer stuff, he's aware of it. He's, "Uncle Roy, this is the way we're going to do it." Okay, so I actually let Alex run the law practice. Some would say, when we first did our letterhead, and I think it's indicative, he put my name first. And in the letterhead, and I respect the fact that he was giving me deference and respect and things of that nature. I said, Alex, your name is going to go first because I want you to lead, and I'll be here to support you in whatever information or questions that you might have. Because, Jim, if we don't teach the next generation to lead, then when are they going to lead?